Make him beg to have you back. You don't make someone beg to have you back by chasing them, texting them, or proving your worth to them. You do it by becoming someone they can't reach anymore. Not out of spite, but because you've outgrown the old version of yourself that used to tolerate breadcrumbs. There was a time when his attention made your day, when one message, one call, had the power to flip your entire emotional state. But now you've remembered your value. You no longer look for closure, you create it. You no longer crave validation, you are the validation. He will start to feel the silence. Not just hear it, but feel it. He'll notice your absence in the things he took for granted, your patience, your softness, your loyalty. But you're not waiting around anymore. Because the version of you that begged for love is gone. She evolved. She realized her power wasn't in being chosen, it was in doing the choosing. You won't win him back by being available. You win him back, if that's even what you want, by becoming so focused on your own growth, your own peace, your own elevation, that he has to level up just to stand next to you again. The truth is, when you stop chasing someone who doesn't know your worth, you start attracting someone who never needs to be convinced of it. That's the real win. That's when he'll beg, not because he misses the old dynamic, but because he finally sees what he lost. So don't text him, don't check his story, don't wonder if he's thinking about you. Let him wonder. Let him miss you. Because the greatest revenge isn't getting him back. It's showing him you never needed him to begin with. Silence has a way of speaking volumes. When someone walks away or takes you for granted, the most powerful thing you can do isn't to argue, plead, or explain. It's to go quiet. That silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of strength. Most people underestimate how loud it gets when someone who truly mattered to them is no longer accessible. When you stop trying to make yourself understood, when you no longer chase answers or apologies, you signal to the other person that you've reclaimed your power. You've stepped out of their emotional arena and created space between what you once accepted and what you're now willing to tolerate. That shift, subtle as it may seem, can shake someone's world more than any dramatic reaction ever could. People often expect noise when they hurt you. They expect anger, tears, or at least a response. They expect to see they still matter, even if it's through conflict. Silence, on the other hand, creates mystery. It creates a void. And in that void, the other person is left with only their own thoughts, their own guilt, and their own realization that you are no longer playing the same role. Silence forces reflection. It makes someone wonder if they were ever as important to you as they assumed. More importantly, it puts the focus back on you. While they are left in their thoughts, you are busy healing, rebuilding, and elevating. Silence is not passive. It's not weakness. It's a boundary. It says, I'm no longer willing to lose myself just to keep you. And when you stop reaching out, when you stop explaining yourself, you stop giving that person the attention they used to rely on, suddenly they realize that your presence wasn't guaranteed. They remember your kindness, your effort, your consistency. They remember that you were there, and now you're not, and that absence becomes loud, deafening even. Sometimes silence is the first time someone is forced to see the truth. They begin to notice your absence in small ways. Your name missing from their notifications, the quiet moments where your voice used to be, the lack of emotional safety they once felt with you. And while you've moved into your peace, they begin to spiral into what they let slip away. This is how silence works. It isn't about manipulation, it's about self-protection. You're not using silence to punish them. You're using it to protect your heart, your energy, and your future. Eventually, your silence becomes the proof of your growth. It's the sign that you're no longer looking for closure because you've already given it to yourself. You're no longer fighting to be heard because you've found your voice in the quiet. And that's when the shift happens. When your silence turns into the very thing they can't stop thinking about. Not because of what you did, but because of what you no longer do. You're not reacting, reaching, or reminding them of your value. You've simply left the space open. And sometimes that emptiness says more than words ever could. When you step away from someone who took your presence for granted, something interesting happens. Your absence begins to speak louder than your words ever did. It's easy to ignore someone who is always there, always available, always trying. But once you remove yourself, once you stop giving your time, attention, and energy so freely, people start to feel it. They may not say anything at first, but slowly they start to notice. They notice when the daily messages stop. They notice when they don't see your name pop up. They notice the stillness where your effort used to live. And that absence starts to create a discomfort they weren't ready for. Absence creates space. And in that space, people begin to reflect. They start to see the difference between you and the noise of everyone else. What was once overlooked becomes missed. What was once taken for granted becomes rare. In your presence, they may have thought they had all the time in the world, but in your absence, they realize time has moved on, and so have you. The truth is, people rarely appreciate a good thing when they believe it's guaranteed, but once it's gone, they're forced to sit with what they lost. And if they truly cared, that silence becomes loud. Absence isn't about creating drama. It's about restoring balance. When you were constantly giving, the dynamic was unbalanced. You gave more, reached more, cared more. But when you step back, you give them the opportunity to meet you halfway or not at all. You're no longer filling the space alone. You're watching to see if they even notice the gap. And if they do, and they care, they'll come forward. But if they don't, you've just been handed clarity. And that's a gift. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow and what you walk away from. And when you remove your energy, you're teaching them that your time is valuable, that you're not going to chase someone who is indifferent, that if they want to be in your life, they have to show up not when it's convenient, but consistently. It's in this absence that they realize your presence wasn't ordinary, that the connection you offered was unique, even if they failed to see it in the moment. Sometimes the only way to make someone realize your worth is to no longer be accessible. It's not about being cold or playing games. It's about choosing peace over chaos, respect over confusion, value over desperation. When you step back, you're not punishing them, you're prioritizing yourself. You're allowing them the space to either step up or step out. And here's the part that's most empowering. By the time they finally realize what they've lost, you might not want it back. Because your absence didn't just teach them something, it taught you too. It taught you what happens when you choose yourself. It taught you that someone who truly values you will never risk losing you in the first place. And that's why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear and let your absence speak the truth they refused to hear when you were present. There's a significant transformation that happens when you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing for yourself. It's subtle at first. You go from constantly overthinking someone else's behavior, why they didn't call, why their tone felt off, why their attention faded, to realizing that the only behavior you really need to understand is your own. You shift from wondering if you're enough to knowing you are. You stop asking, what can I do to keep them interested? And start asking, do they even deserve me? That's when the dynamic changes. You no longer sit passively hoping someone will finally pick you. Instead, you become selective. You reclaim your right to choose who gets access to your energy, your time, your love. Being chosen is flattering, but it's temporary. It means someone else held the power, and you waited for them to see your value. but choosing is empowering. It means you've recognized your own worth and refused to hand it over to people who are unsure about you. You're no longer in the business of auditioning for someone else's affection. You don't shapeshift, shrink, or perform to fit what someone wants. You show up as you are, and if they can't handle that, they were never your person to begin with. Choosing means setting boundaries without apology. It means walking away the first time someone shows you they don't know how to treat you. It's not dramatic, it's not petty, it's clarity. Because when you've done the inner work to build yourself up, you don't settle for anything that threatens your peace. You've realized that it's not about how much you love them, it's about how you feel when you're with them. Do you feel seen, safe, respected? Or do you feel anxious, confused, not enough? When you choose yourself, those questions become non-negotiable. You'd rather be alone than emotionally starved in someone else's presence. This isn't about being cold or dismissive, it's about maturity, about knowing that chasing someone is a distraction from the real work, building a life so full, so aligned that love becomes a complement, not a necessity. And when love does show up, it'll feel peaceful, not like a fight to prove your worth. You won't need to convince anyone to stay. They'll stay because they want to, not because you begged, explained, or tried harder. The moment you stop waiting to be picked, everything changes. You radiate differently. You stop texting first when it's always one-sided. You stop explaining your worth to people who never really listened. You start living fully, going after your goals, nurturing your growth, and surrounding yourself with people who actually see you. And those who don't, they naturally fall away. Not because you pushed them, but because they were never strong enough to stand next to the version of you that refuses to shrink anymore. Choosing isn't selfish, it's survival. It's how you reclaim your time, your standards, and your story. You realize that not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. And just because someone wants you doesn't mean they're ready to receive you. So instead of hoping they'll finally choose you, you look in the mirror and say, I choose me. First, now, and always. The most powerful kind of revenge is not a dramatic comeback, not a perfectly worded message, and definitely not making someone jealous. The real revenge, the one that lasts, that changes you, that speaks without ever needing to say a word, is evolution. It's becoming the version of yourself that your past self would be proud of and your former partner would no longer recognize. It's not about showing them that you're better than before just to get a reaction. It's about becoming better for yourself because you finally see your worth without needing it reflected in someone else's eyes. When someone hurts you, leaves you, or takes you for granted, it's tempting to seek justice through confrontation, to try to make them feel what they made you feel. But those efforts usually fall flat. They often end up leaving you feeling even emptier because you're still depending on their reaction to feel whole. Evolution, on the other hand, is an inward journey. It's choosing to grow in silence, to take your pain and turn it into strength, to stop looking backward for closure and start moving forward with purpose. You evolve when you stop talking about what they did and start focusing on what you're doing. You stop obsessing over what they're thinking and start paying attention to how you're healing. You pour your energy into becoming grounded, self-aware, and truly aligned with who you are. The more you grow, the less you need to prove. You understand that the best response to betrayal isn't bitterness. It's becoming so content and fulfilled in your own life that their presence or absence no longer dictates your emotions. Your evolution shows up in the small things, in the way you no longer over-explain yourself, in the way you smile and protect your peace instead of reacting, in the way you walk away the first time someone shows you who they are without trying to change them. It's the new boundaries you set, the priorities you rearrange, and the standards you raise. Not to punish anyone, but to honor yourself. Eventually, they'll notice. Maybe it'll be a picture you post. Maybe it'll be something they hear about you. Maybe it'll just be a moment of silence where they realize you've stopped trying. And in that space, they'll feel the gap between who you were when they had you and who you've become now that you're gone. But by then, it won't matter. Because evolution isn't about getting them back. It's about making sure you never go back to who you were when you tolerated less than you deserved. Revenge that requires their attention is temporary, but growth that's rooted in truth is permanent. And the person who once overlooked your value will have to face the undeniable reality they had access to a version of you they'll never get again. You've evolved, you've healed, you've risen, and the life you're building now is the life they never had the patience or maturity to grow with you. That's not just revenge, it's transformation. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, and for showing up for yourself. If this message touched your heart, it's because deep down, you know your worth is not up for debate. You're not here to be picked last. You're here to choose yourself first. Keep growing, keep glowing, and always remember, your silence isn't empty. It's full of power. Take care, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next message of love, truth, and transformation. Goodbye for now, and thank you.